In this video, I'm going to go over how to divide polynomials using synthetic division. Now, it's important to know that you can only use this method when you're dividing by a linear factor, and I only use it when my my leading coefficient is 1. So like 1x plus 10 or 1x plus 2 or x minus 5 or x minus 4, something like that. So x doesn't have a number in front of it, a coefficient, and it doesn't have an exponent. So when I'm doing this, I am going to start by taking what would make that it could potentially be a factor, but what you would make what you're dividing by be 0. And so if I'm dividing by x plus 10, negative 10 would make it be 0. So it's the opposite of what you're dividing by. And then I'm going to list out my leading coefficients of what I'm dividing. So I have 4, 50, 105, and 56. And then I'm going to draw a line. All right, so what I'm going to do with these leading coefficients is I'm going to drop down the first one. So 4 drops under the line. Anything under the line multiplies the box. So 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. 50 take away 40 would give me 10, and then I multiply the box. 10 times negative 10, negative 100. 105 take away 100 is 5. Multiply the box again. That gives me negative 50, and 56 take away 50 is 6. So this last thing is always the remainder, and I'm going to do an example with a remainder and an example without one. And so the way we write our answer with a remainder looks like this. You're going to go down a power each time. So one way I like to think about this is go up from the remainder. Like this would be my constant, this would get an x, and this would get an x squared. So my answer is going to look like this. 4x squared plus 10x plus 5 plus my remainder is 6. Oops. My remainder is 6 over what I divided by, which was x plus 10. And that's how you write your answer with a remainder. All right, the next example, I am going to put negative 2 in the box this time because I'm dividing by x plus 2. So you want to put in the box what would make what you're dividing by be 0. And then I'm going to list out my coefficients. I have a coefficient of 1, of negative 1, of negative 2, and of 8. Now, guys, let's say you were missing a power. Like, let's say you were dividing something that looked like this. X to the third minus 2x plus 7. You don't see a quadratic, no x squared term there. So you would list out your coefficients like this: 1, 0, negative 2, 7. So I did want to bring that to your attention, that if you're missing a power, you should always go highest to lowest power. And if you're missing one of those powers, you do need to put a 0 in place. I'm going to bring down a 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Subtract up and down. Negative 1 take away 2 is negative 3. I'm going to multiply that negative 3 by the box. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. You just, up and down, you just do whatever the operation is, so whatever the signs are. So negative 2 plus 6 is positive 4. I multiply it by the box. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and so my remainder is 0. Now, when you have a remainder of 0, what that actually means about this graph is that at negative 2, this graph, this cubic graph, is going to cross the x-axis at negative 2. So x plus 2 would be a factor, and negative 2 would actually be an x-intercept, or what we call a root. The way I'm going to write my answer looks like this: x squared minus 3x plus 4. And I don't have a remainder, so I don't need to write my remainder out. Hope this helps.